In 123, Gaius Gracchus became tribune of the plebs, who was one of the preeminent speakers in Rome and who made no secret of the fact that he hated the Senate because of his brother Tiberius Gracchus's death. He took up his brother's program of land distribution and established it or expanded it to include food distribution for needy plebeians. And Gaius Gracchus was defeated when he ran for Senate again. When he ran for tribune again. Now, this was partly due to the Senate running a stooge candidate that was even more radical than Gaius Gracchus and kind of split the vote. So it's kind of the way that you might run a dark horse in a primary or persuade people who would otherwise vote for your opponent to vote for a third party candidate. The Senate basically does that, and Gaius is defeated. He responds with violence and seizes the Aventine Hill with armed bands. And the Senate successfully encouraged the consul to seize the hill with the army, and Gaius is killed, allegedly by his own hand to prevent the army from killing him. Afterwards, about 3,000 of his supporters were executed. It's a further sign of growing violence in Rome. A couple of important takeaways from this event. One, the response of Gaius Gracchus to his failed effort to become tribune again was to immediately resort to violence. Even though the Senate hadn't been playing totally open-handed, there was nothing they had done against the rules by this point. Second, the willingness of the Senate to bring the Roman army under the power of the consul into the city to use the army to put down this insurrection. Now, you could argue they have no choice. You have someone who's taken control of the political capital of your city in an armed rebellion. What else are you supposed to do? At the same time, consuls were never supposed to bring the Roman army under their authority into the city of Rome. And so the Senate is radically increasing the consul's authority to wield political power in the city using the army, and that's also extremely dangerous. Despite the ends of the Gracchi brothers, Roman demand for soldiers continues to grow. It continues to grow because you have a growing empire, you have more provinces, you have more military theaters, and at the same time you have pressure on individual landowners who are struggling to survive, and that's your source of military. In 113 BC, the Romans had to fight 3 wars at once against the Gauls, against the Numidians in Africa, and also a slave revolt in Italy, and the system totally broke down. And so the Romans were being defeated in all these areas. They didn't have enough troops. And in 107, a new consul, Gaius Marius, takes a new approach to the situation. He uses his own authority to create a volunteer army. He says, "Come and fight for Rome, and Rome will provide you all the equipment that you need and will pay you to fight as well." And it comes directly from the general rather than from the Senate. And so this is significant. It's significant because instead of the army being made up of those who have most to lose if Rome is conquered, and so they're doing this from a sense of public service, their sense of duty towards the Republic is what's motivating them to join the army. Instead, people are joining the army because, well, it's a safe career. You know that the government is going to pay for everything for you. And so you're much more doing this for money and for yourself than you are as an act of sacrifice or service to Rome. And so this changes the dynamics of the army. It means that the soldiers are going to be much more loyal to their generals, the consuls, than they are to the idea or the government of the Roman Republic itself. Marius also reorganizes the army. This isn't a particularly important point in the overall narrative, but there are some important terms of reference here. He replaces the maniples with 600 men cohorts. We still use cohort to describe a class, a freshman cohort, sophomore cohort, etc. today. And these cohorts were led by a centurion. 10 cohorts made up a legion. So a legion is 6,000 troops. Each soldier receives a javelin, so a spear, short sword, 50 pounds of equipment that they would carry. In the end, this is going to make the Roman army a better fighting force, just less loyal. And so this is kind of the trade-off. Remember what we said before: the Romans devoted to the service of Rome. They never give up, but they lose a lot of battles because they're not professional soldiers. Now you're going to have professional soldiers. They're going to fight better, but their loyalty is perhaps going to be a little more suspect, or their loyalty is going to be to the generals rather than to Rome. However, Marius is able to defeat the Gauls. He's able to defeat the slave revolt. He's able to defeat the revolt in Africa, and he is widely seen as having taken these necessary reforms and having saved the Republic. Move on now to the next slide, and the next in a series of crises that the Roman Republic faced. There were now three key problems: poor administration of the provinces, political intolerance, so these two different political factions that are fighting against one another and using violence to do so, and armies that were more loyal to generals than to the Republic. Firstly, you have a revolt that's led by King Mithridates VI of Pontus, who calls himself the successor of Darius I, and he presents himself as the new ruler of Persia. And so this is a revolt against the Romans in Anatolia, and it's a sign of the problems with the province system. The Roman government is not very strong, and it is resented. And so command of the Roman army was given to a man called Lucius Sulla, who raises a volunteer army, just like Marius did. He and Marius are rivals. And so Sulla uses his army to drive Marius away and then marches off east. Marius, while Sulla is away, raises an army and returns to Rome and institutes a reign of terror against Sulla's supporters. Sulla returns, brings his army back to Italy, defeats all his enemies, and now issues prescriptions against his opponents. And Marius had now died. And so Marius is seen as representing the populists here. He's the one who built this new volunteer army. Sulla is seen much more as a reactionary figure. He believes that he is using the army to remove Marius, to remove those who instituted a reign of terror against their political opponents while he was away, and to restore the Roman rule of law. He makes himself a dictator. That's a constitutional option. Not to make yourself, but at least the role of dictator. He holds power for 6 months. Now, that's longer than you're supposed to, significantly longer than you're supposed to. But at the end of the day, he increases the size of the Senate. He increases the authority of the Senate, and then he gives up his power, convinced that he has restored the authority of the Republic after all this violence. And so this is Sulla's conservative effort to restore the balance of power in favor of the Senate, and to bend the Constitution a little bit to do so. And he hopes he's done enough, and now the Constitution can return. But really, what he's done is establish the precedent for an army to take control of the Roman state and government. And so you can see how the Republic and the checks and balances on powers in the Republic is fraying at the seams here. Move on to the next slide now. The Romans had another challenge. This challenge was the increased slave population following these wars. And we've already covered the challenges of slavery in Rome, some options for freedom, but mostly a very difficult life. And in the year 73, the slaves revolted, led by a man called Spartacus. And he assembled a very large army, an army of almost 70,000 runaway slaves. Eventually, he is defeated. He's defeated by a man called Crassus. Now, Crassus is an interesting figure. He's the wealthiest man in Rome. He had made himself the wealthiest man in Rome by running the fire brigade. And if you think that that doesn't sound like a money-making enterprise, you don't quite understand the way Crassus was running the fire brigade. He would show up to someone's house after they moved into the neighborhood. He would encourage them to buy fire insurance from him. If they refused, then his thugs would show up and they would set fire to the house. And they would put the fire out with the fire brigade if you paid them, and obviously the payment has gone up at this point. And so Crassus is symptomatic of the problems in Roman society at this time. Roman society has become increasingly corrupt. People are making money off their fellow citizens rather than having the unity that had characterized unity and spirit of service to the republic that had characterized its early years. And Crassus wants political profile as well as just money. And so defeating the slave rebellion gives him that, and he is going to be one of the leading figures as our story moves forward.